Hey viewers, welcome to Chunner Checks It Out. My name's Chunner, and in this video, I want to talk about how I keep track of my manga. Now, there are a bunch of different ways that you can keep track of manga, but the main focus of this video I want to talk about is going to be about the program Excel by Microsoft. Now, I'm not sponsored by Microsoft. This is just a program that I wanted to use to keep track of my manga. But before we talk about Microsoft Excel, there are multiple ways to keep track of manga. So, yo, let's check it out. Some of the ways that you can keep track of manga, obviously, if you have potentially a smaller collection, is you can just memorize all the manga that you have in your head and just go off of memory. I think that works really well. Even when you get into the larger collections, obviously you're going to remember some of your manga or all of your manga that you have. But when you start hitting manga, say over 20 or more, whatever that number is, you might start to forget about some of your manga. So some other obviously easy ways to keep track of your manga is a simple pencil and paper, and you can just physically write down your manga. I think that works really well. If you want to get obviously more into the digital age that we live in now, if you are a working individual and have access to a smartphone, which I feel quite a lot of the population has, obviously not everyone is going to have a smartphone, but if you do have a smartphone, there are many things that you can do with a smartphone. A smartphone is kind of like a little computer in your pocket. There are writing apps that you can write down your manga on your smartphone. Another thing that I use quite a bit is just the photograph camera option. You can take a picture of your manga and save that to your phone in your pictures gallery. And let's say you want to go shopping for more manga and you don't remember which manga you have, then you can just go ahead and look at that picture and then see which manga you have. So those are some basic ways to keep track of manga. Now I want to talk about one other option that probably quite a lot of people might use, and I think it's really helpful if you don't want to make an Excel document. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. So here we are on the myanimelist.net website. Here you can see my anime list website, and this is a free website that you can use. I think you can subscribe or something or donate if you want to, but this website does quite a lot of things. You can look up anime TV shows if you want to. You can look up manga. Here there is a list. They have this Christmas theme going on, so it's kind of hard to see. But here you can do an anime search. You can check out the top animes, see what's seasonal. And you can also do a manga search as well. And then there's also some little bit of news here. Looking at this site, you can check out the most popular anime and things like that. So let's go ahead and say do a search. I'm going to just use this search bar here. You can do the drop down menu. You can choose anime, manga, whatever you want to search for. Let's search here for something. Okay, so we're searching for Frieren. Frieren is a popular manga and anime TV show. And here you can see you want to make sure you're in the right category. So first they're going to say anime. And the one thing that this site does use is Japanese. So sometimes the titles are in Japanese. So you might not know which one you are checking out for. Of course, it says Soso no Frieren, and you can check out the image here. As you can see, if you can see that little image there, that is Frieren. But here, this is the anime. And so these are all returns of your search from the anime section. And then you can go down here to the manga section, and that would be the same. So we're going to talk about manga here. So let's go ahead and click on this one here. This is manga, and this is the first one that comes up. So here we are on the Frieren page. This gives you a lot of information. Of course, this is only people who use this site, so if people are not familiar or don't use this site, then it's not going to give you those data points, but I feel like quite a lot of people are using this, and it's a very simple way to keep track of your manga. So, or anime, or whatever else you want to keep track of. So here they give a rank, a popularity score, they give you a bunch of information. Here's a picture of Freeren. They can give you a little synopsis of what this show or manga is about. This is something that's in my database. You can create an account here, and we are on my account here, as you can see, and then so that's why this is showing up here. Otherwise, you can scroll down here. It gives you alternate titles, so you can click on more titles, and here you can see the English title is Freeren Beyond Journey's End. So here I have my profile, and you can take a look at things I'm watching. But let's go ahead and take a look at manga here, what I am reading. Here it shows you can put your manga into different categories. So currently I'm reading these anime, or these are basically on my to read list. Here you can click on the edit button, and you can change this status here to either reading, completed, on hold, dropped, or plan to read. It's in my reading. This will tell you the number of volumes read, number of chapters read. You can give it all this information here. I'm just going to click out of that here. And here you can see an overview. So Black Lagoon here, I can give it a score, the number of chapters read, and the volumes read. Here, Fruits Basket has ended. And so this is a manga that I have. There are currently 23 total volumes. Sometimes it'll show that. Let's go ahead and go back to the main page here. And what you can do if you want to go for manga, one other thing that you can do, let's go ahead and check on the top manga in the mangas drop down. So here it will list databases of information that they've collected on what other people might think top manga would be. They might give it a score, and they would compile this list into this list here. You can also sort this list here. Most popular, you can click on that, and that brings back definitely a different list here of what people think are most popular. So here you can scroll down, you can check out all the different manga. So that was a quick overview of myanimelist.net. I think that's a great way to keep track of your manga or anime or whatever you want to keep track of if you don't want to make an Excel spreadsheet. So I just want to do a brief overview of why I wanted to make an Excel spreadsheet. And so my story is that I did work at a pretty big company for 17 years. I no longer work with that company, but I kind of stayed with them because they had really good values, and I did like that company a lot. I was still kind of not very high up, but I did work there for quite a long time. And I'm not going to go into why I left that company. I did leave on my own, but a few times I went to their office and was able to take some temp jobs in their office. And this really big company, what I didn't realize, basically runs on Excel. So if you are interested in Excel or want to improve your skills going forward into the world for any type of database or anything like that, what I realized is that this company is probably modeled after quite a lot of other companies as well. And so I'm assuming that you can use Excel. And if you know a little bit about Excel, you can step up into that world if you want to do that. And so I felt like I wanted to build my skills in Excel. And one way to do that is by creating a database of some kind of collection that I had. And I chose manga. Again, I don't have a ton of manga, but it's just a way for me to increase my Excel knowledge. Now, again, I'm not sponsored by Microsoft or anything like that, but it's just something that I wanted to learn and get better at. And Excel is free. You can just sign up online. You can just go to office.com and create an account and you can get the free version. You can also get a paid version, and I'm not really sure what the difference is. For right now, I'm just using the free Office, and there might come with more features. I'm not really sure, but let's go ahead and check out my Excel. So if you're not familiar with Excel, Excel is basically a spreadsheet, a list of columns and rows, and it's a way that you can keep track of different data points. And so what they call one page here, you can continue to scroll down here, and one page is basically called a sheet. And you can create multiple sheets. Here I have multiple sheets, and I've titled them Overview, Manga, Volumes, Other, Wishlist, and Sold. I can create multiple sheets, and there are definitely other things that you can do with Excel, but we're going to just go ahead and cover some of the basics here. And so on this sheet here, this is my overview. So I have something titled here, and I have a bunch of data points here collected, and this is the last time I updated it. The number of manga I own currently, number of manga read, percentages, and all this type of information here. So before we go ahead and check out some of these, basically a lot of these includes, let's take a look at this one here. For example, we can see here Excel. Obviously you can just type in a number. So I could just type in 194 in this cell, and then that number would be a constant number that would stay in that cell. But what Excel excels at, I'm not sure if that's the right wording there, but basically Excel is able to put in formulas, and these formulas can update your table automatically. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Instead of just typing in 194, and if I bought another manga, then I could just type in 195. Let's go ahead and check out this data point here. So these are formulas that you can put in that will automatically count other data points. So before we talk about this page, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these other sheets that I have, that some of these numbers here are collecting some data points for. So let's go ahead to the manga sheet here, and this is a different page. And here I have different columns. These are all columns that go up and down vertically. So in the columns, I have series, which would be the name of the series, volume in series. So if let's say Bakuman here has ended, then there is a total of 20 volumes from the series. And a lot of this information, some comes from myanimelist.net. And so this is kind of a collaboration that I've taken from them and then created my own sheet. So then here I have status, I have either behind or finished, demographics, genre, subgenre, and these are some of these I've come up with by myself, and some of these I've also collaborated with myanimelist.net or used some of their terminology. Then I have author first name, author last name, artist first name, artist last name. Sometimes there are different artists for different manga that are written by somebody and drawn by somebody else. And then I have the publisher. Some manga have multiple authors and multiple artists. And so I'm not really going to go too deep into the weeds here on that. But this is basically what I have here. I highlighted some of these in green for me because this green means that I've finished it, and so those are done. The red here, Full Metal Alchemist, I have not dropped, but I am interested in collecting a different set of the manga, the Full Metal edition of manga, and currently I have some of the just regular volumes, and so I just want to upgrade, so that's the only reason I have it as dropped. This is a hot take here. The artwork is fantastic on Gachira Kuta, but I am no longer going to continue that series. And so this is just some other data points. I also have up to date. This is the only one which maybe is an ongoing manga that I might be collected the most current volume on. The guy she was interested in wasn't a guy at all, is an ongoing manga, and I have the current volume 2. And usually this doesn't happen because I don't have a lot of manga, but I also have more than somebody who doesn't collect manga or has maybe a smaller collection. The main portion of this spreadsheet here is going to be in this list here. This is the volume sheet. And so in the volume sheet, as you can see, if you take a look at the manga, I just have listed Akane Banashi once because that's the series name. Here I actually have each of the volumes that I have. So I have the series name, the volume, which volume it is, the status, if I've read it or unread it, and that this is mainly going to play a part on the data points I've collected, the date purchased, the location. I have Kinokuniya, which is a local Asian bookstore. Then I have Right Stuff, which is basically Crunchyroll. HPB is Half Price Books. You can find some great deals at Half Price Books sometimes. Amazon, obviously. Then a convention. SakuraCon is a convention. This is the date that I finished reading it, the ranking that I gave the manga, and then here I have the cover characters, what character is on the cover of the manga, the spine character, and then here's some notes that I've taken. So for volume 1 of Akane Banashi, what a fantastic read. I want to read more. And here again, you can just type in these fields here of information. And so here are all the manga that I have, whether it's read or unread. Some of these are in green. I put them in green just as a color coordination to know that I've read it. Some of these I don't know when I actually purchased them, so I just put that in red as well. This one is in red. I did read Bungo Stray Dogs Volume 1. But this one is in red is because I heard that there's a box set, so I'm probably going to end up picking up the box set. So I don't want to pick up more manga of the individual mangas. I'm probably just going to pick up the box set probably way down the future at some point in time, but that's what I'm planning to do. Same thing with Dragon Ball. I don't know when this was purchased and it was red, but this also has a box set along with Fairy Tail. Same with Full Metal Alchemist. Here I want to get the Full Metal editions of manga. Right now I just have the regular manga editions, and so I am interested in getting the Full Metal editions and probably getting rid of these regular manga. Then I have, this one is in red, Hikaru no Go, is because I'm missing volume 2 and 3, and I have volume 4. I just happened to find it at SakuraCon, and I got it here at the Manga Exchange. So that was when I was able to trade in one manga for another manga, and I was able to pick up this Hikaru no Go Volume 4. One other thing that I do have here, these I don't know when I got them, and this One Piece here, I have 2 Volume 1s, and the reason I got this Volume 1 was because I saw Colin Klingenbard, who is the VA for Luffy in One Piece, and the English VA, and she was at a convention, and so I was able to get her to sign the cover of the Volume 1, so I think that's fantastic. I usually watch the subs, but I want to support the English VAs, and obviously the Japanese VAs don't come to America, or some of them do, but not very often. And so it's just easier to collect VAs if you want to collect VAs of English VAs. And again, I watch most of my stuff in Japanese, but I do want to support the English VAs. So that's why I have 2 Volume 1s of One Piece. Volumes 1 through 23 is box set 1. and I've read all of box set 1, and then I have box set 2, but I haven't gotten around to it. And then here I have One Piece volumes 91 through 104 that I just found at half price books. And so I picked that up, and I just haven't gotten around to reading it. I have actually read some of these. I have the app, the Shonen Jump app, and so that's another place that you can read manga on, our online apps. And so I've been reading One Piece, so I'm currently caught up to One Piece, is in whatever the newest chapter was that released a week ago, which is late December 2025. So I'm completely caught up to One Piece. And so, of course, the latest chapter is really interesting. I'm not going to talk about that here, but yeah, it's really interesting. And so anyway, these are just the physical volumes of manga that I have. This One Piece Aces story, I have volume 2. I don't have volume 1, so that's why I haven't read that yet. And so these are all the different mangas that I have, and it goes down to 195. And I just want to remind you that these are all rows here going across. And then so the first row here is actually not a volume of manga, so it's going to start on row 2. So that's going to be something that you need to know for putting in data point information. Then I have this other tab here, other kind of books and figures that I started putting data points on. Here are some books that I have. And then figures, I'm going to say I've stopped collecting a lot of figures. If I'm going to collect figures, maybe I'll collect some Naruto Nendoroids. And then I like the pop-up parade stuff for Fairy Tail, that those are really fantastic looking. And some of those other pop-up parade stuff is really good looking. But ultimately, I'm probably going to stop collecting unless they are maybe One Piece figures. I'm probably only going to collect prize figures because I really don't have the money. And really, the one reason that I'm not going to go into why I stopped collecting figures, but you know, some of the lookups look fantastic. I really want to get some of those. These are not all my figures. I have some other figures, but I just wanted to kind of start listing them there. So this is really not really part of what I was doing. It's just more data points that I can collect on. Then here I just have a wish list here. Frieden, I'm missing volume 6, and then I'll have volume 1 through 13. I'm just missing volume 6. And then I want to pick up Akane Banashi. I think they go up to volume 14. And then these are some other mangas that I want to pick up. For the sales, Right Stuff usually runs these bundle deals, so sometimes I'll wait for the sales on this. Honestly, Slam Dunk, I was able to read some of the volumes all the way up through 10. And there are some volumes between 5 and 7 that kind of go into the weeds a little bit. Probably some really bad volumes. But ultimately, when it gets back to the basketball, I really like Slam Dunk. And so I'm probably going to keep collecting that series. Although I got to say 6 and 7, not really my style, but it's good to see the other side of characters and some character development. And I did watch all of the anime this might have been one of the first few animes that I watched a really long 10 plus years ago. I don't really remember a whole lot of it, honestly. And then Haikyuu is good. Black Lagoon, I think, ends at volume 12. The Full Metal editions, they have these bundles. Soul Eater, I haven't finished reading Soul Eater 1 through 8. I have seen all of the anime, and so I want to actually read that before I start really getting back into that. I need One Piece Aces Story Volume 1. And then Tokidoki, I heard, is a one-shot that's supposed to be really good, so I want to check out that. Box sets, The Promised Neverland. I have volumes 1 through 5, I believe. The Promised Neverland and Akane Banashi, for me, Akane Banashi are probably two of some of my favorite mangas that I've read. And so I do want to pick up the box set here so I can get that volume 6 through 20, I believe, which ends the box set series. Fairy Tail is just one of my favorite animes, and so I want to pick up box set 1. Dragon Ball, when I read this manga, it was really well done, especially for an action. When it starts to get into the fighting scenes, the art was really well done, so I want to pick up the Dragon Ball Z series specifically. Bungo Stray Dogs, I do like that anime quite a bit, so I want to get that box set. Naruto, I think I have volumes 1 through 11, and there are 3 box sets of all of Naruto, and I probably want to pick up that at some point in time. And then One Piece has box sets 3 and 4, which I don't have. I want to get those probably at some point in time. So let's go back to this overview page here. And I do want to say that I started creating this list here in 2024 of October or maybe September, somewhere around there. And at the time I had 134 manga. And so I just want to say that I probably started collecting manga maybe somewhere in the 2020s in a very small collection, really. 2024, I had 134 manga. And at the end of 2025, which is just going to be in a few days, I'm going to have 194 manga. So that's really an increase of 60 manga that I picked up over the year. So again, not a lot, but it is a lot. And so depending on how you look at it, you know, if I pick up 60 volumes per year, this took me 2 more extra years to get to, and really it was probably a few more years than that because I really never really got into it before then. I do want to get this number a lot higher. The number of manga read 130 versus 194. Honestly, I don't want to have a bunch of shelf of shame things that I haven't read on my shelf. And so I need to really stop buying manga and read what I have, because I have a ton of manga here that I still need to read. But let's go ahead and take care of some of these data points here. So this one here, this one I just have it physically typed in. So whenever I finish reading a volume, then I'll go ahead and edit in this volume section. So if I read Akane Banashi volume 10, then I'll type in red here, and then I'll change its color to green and put in those data points here. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of this here. So number of manga owned, if I click on this cell here, this is the formula for what I have here. So here I'm equals row point data point, and I'm looking at the sheet volumes. So if I come down here, this is the volume sheet. So I'm looking at volumes in cells A, and I'm counting cells A2 through the volume sheet cells A195. So let's look at volumes, cells A2, because we skipped this one here. So A2 right here, A2, and we're counting all these cells here all the way down to 195. So it automatically will update that if I enter new data points. So the number of manga owned, I have 194. This one is a count if formula, and I use this quite a bit. So this one is number of manga read, and I have a count if formula. I'm looking at volumes again, that same sheet, and I'm looking at counting column C, and if its status is red. Let's look at the volume sheet, column C. So the volume sheet right here, and we're at column C. So if it says red here, then I'm going to count it. If it says unread, then it's not going to be counted. And so this is something, again, that I physically type in. I'll type in red when I finish reading it, and then it will automatically update. So when I take a look at this here, count if column C says red, then I have 130 manga that's red. This is automatically updated, so I don't have to physically change that number each time. This number here is a sum formula, C4, and this is taking a look because I don't have this sheet here. This is telling it to go to the volume sheet, the volumes exclamation point. This is called volumes, and then you add the exclamation point. So this is just looking at this own sheet here. So sum of C4. So C4 is 130 divided by A4, which is 194. And then that will give you a decimal point number. And then you multiply that by 100 to give you so this would be 0.6701 blah, blah, blah. And then, so this is basically just moving the decimal point over 2 points. So this will give you the percentage of 67% red. Number of series owned. Here I am looking at the manga sheet, manga, and then this is just the rows. And I'm counting B2 through B50. So I'm looking at the rows here on the manga sheet, and the rows is going to be B2 through B50. So let's go ahead and go back to here. So the number of series owned, this is just, again, why I have these listed without the manga. And the number of series I own is 49, so that automatically will update when I put in new series. Number of series finished collecting. This is another count if formula. I'm looking at the manga sheet here, and I'm looking at column C, and if it says finish. So we're going to look at the manga sheet, column C, and if I have here typed in finished, then it's going to automatically count that, and that will be able to do that, and that came up with 7. So here I've had a total number of series owned 49, finished collecting 7. So those are some data points that I have. Here I also have some demographics that I'm interested in. You have shonen, seinen, GL, shoujo, josei, BL. And so shonen is young boy kids, seinen is adult boys, girls love, shoujo is young girls, josei is adult girls, and then BL is boys love. So here I have the demographic and then count. Here I have more formulas, count if, and then so this is in the manga sheet. It says on the column if it's shonen. So we're going to go to the manga sheet on the D, and it says shonen. So it's going to automatically count. So here the most I have is shonen at 29, seinen at 50, and then it drops off considerably for GL, shoujo, josei, and BL. Let's look at the genre that I have. Genres. These genres are kind of, again, things that I kind of came up with. And let's go ahead and look at the number data point here. Another count if formula for manga on the E column. So we're going to go with the E column. And so this is the genre that I have put in that I have categorized it at. So slice of life, basically kind of your daily life. Action is action. Sports is sports. Adventure, historical, kind of maybe fictional historical pieces. Fantasy, isekai is when you go into another world. You potentially die and you go into another world. And then mystery, video game, and supernatural. So slice of life is definitely on my highest count here. And then it drops off to action, and then sports, adventure, historical, and then another drop off. Let's go ahead and take a look at this next column. The publisher that I have, 27 at Viz Media, count if on the manga sheet, it says Viz on column K. So manga sheet column K, Viz here. Here are all the ones that it's going to count for Viz. And these are all the different publishers. So Viz is basically Shonen Jump, I want to say. So that's the one that I have the highest count in. Then you go to Yen Press, Kodansha, and then another significant drop off there. So if I wanted to potentially round out my collection, I can see what things that I like to collect and maybe holes in stuff that I might want to get more of. Shoujo and josei, potentially I would definitely want to pick up more of that just to support those categories. And obviously shonen and a significant drop off to seinen, and then another significant drop off from seinen to all the other demographics here. Let's go ahead and take a look at these columns here. So started in 2024, this is going to be a little bit more complicated formulas. And so let's go ahead to the number in October, 11. So another count if. So we're just looking at count ifs, and we're going to look at volumes again. So the volume sheet this time. So the volume sheet on column F2, starting at F2 all the way to F188. So we're going to look at the volume sheet F2. So it's starting, taking a look at from here all the way down to 188. And we're going to scroll down here to 188. So that should be, this is actually 195. So that's very interesting. I probably need to update that. We're looking at anything from all the way down to F188. And so volumes F188. So it's going to go ahead and look down to here, F188. So these ones have not been counted. As we can see, I've read these all in 2025, so it won't matter. And so everything up from here, except for the first column, it's going to count, and it's going to take a look at the dates here. So here we can go ahead and we're going to look at the date range. So we're going to do a date range from 10/1/2024, and then same here all the way to, and then we're going to count the same volumes, same rows, all the way up to 10/31/2024. So all the way up to 188, and we confirmed that anything below that was in 2025. It's going to count, and it's going to check anything that was read between 10/1 and 10/31/2024. And so that came up with a number of 11. Let's go ahead and take a look at this next. So it's going to be the same thing, except that this is in November. So this is all the same formula, except for we're going to look at the date range from 11/1/2024 through 11/30/2024. So this is the same here. We're just going to look at count if in the volume section, 188, 12/1/2024 through the volumes F2 all the way up through 188, 12/31/2024, we came up with 20. So these are all the number of manga that I read during that time. And when we look at the total, then here we're going to use one different formula. Here we're going to use a sum formula. And this sum formula is going to add B22 through M22 on this page because there's no exclamation point switching to a different sheet. So B22 through M22. So B22 through M22. So it's going to add up all of these here, and it's going to give me the sum of this number here, which becomes 43. So 20 plus 12 is 32, plus 11 is 33, 43. So this is the total number of manga that I've read in 2024, starting from when I started creating this data point. Here, I'm not really sure how I'm going to do this here, but this is just a number at the end of 2024. I just found out how much manga that I owned, and I typed in a solid number here, so this won't change. There's no formula here. Same with the series here. Number of series owned, I had 32 at the end of 2024. Now I have 49 at the end of 2025. If we go ahead and take a look at the series here, I have the formula, which is counting in the manga sheet B2 all the way up through B50. So manga sheet B2, because this first series is not actually a manga, so we're going to go through B2 all the way up through B50, and that will just count the rows. So I could done C, D, E. It really doesn't matter because I'm just counting the rows. The point is that you go from row 2 through row 50. And so there are 49 different entries into that, which is the same as this one here. So at the end of the year, I'm going to just take off this formula so that number won't continue to change. And then this is how I have 2026. And then here I have the total number of manga read, which is the sum of N21 through N22. This is column N, 21 through 22. So it's adding these two up here, and this comes out to 129. This is me just trying to get ahead for the next year, as the month is almost over and the next year is going to start. And then so I will need to fix some of these data points here, but I think I fixed some of these here. So that is already set in. So I've seen other videos of people using Excel to keep track of their manga, and I've taken a lot of information from them. But using these simple formulas, like the sum here, sum formula of N21 through N22, basically taking N21 through N22 and just knowing that the formula is the equal sum parentheses N21 colon N2 N22 and parentheses. And so that is the formula needed. A lot of these formulas, you can just automatically click on some of these icons here and get to that. But it's very interesting, especially some of these more complicated formulas of the count ifs work really well. And the biggest thing is just kind of getting your data points in. So this is how I organize it. And then I just kind of color coded some of these here just to make it easier for you, and then bolded and made some of these texts a little bit bigger. I have seen some things where you can do a return formula. I'm still not sure and haven't really gone into the deep weeds of that return formula, but you can do search bars of, let's say I wanted to search for Akane Banashi. I could just go into a cell, type in Akane Banashi, and it would do a return maybe down below of all the titles of that formula. Let's actually take something like Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man was published by Tatsuki Fujimoto, and he also did Look Back, which is also done by Tatsuki Fujimoto. And so potentially I could do a type in search for Tatsuki Fujimoto, and then it would return maybe all the series that Tatsuki Fujimoto has done, and that would potentially be somewhere on here. But I haven't done that yet. So this is how I kind of organize my manga. And again, it's a way for me to get a little bit of Excel knowledge in the way of how to keep track of data points. So that's how I keep track of my manga and all the different mangas that I've owned. Tell me in the comments below how you keep track of manga if you read manga, or maybe you keep track of other things like anime that you've watched and other sorts of data points. So that's kind of interesting to me, and just kind of a way to grow my Excel skills into this basic Excel knowledge. But that's how I do it, and we'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.